Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 5th episode of Tap Talks, where we talk about the biggest things down to the small things and everything in between. We are still riding the nuclear power hype at the point in time, and we're joined by a very, very interesting and special guest we have here today.
Yes.
So, of course, as always, my name is Mohan Abdullah, and joining me today is...
I'm Afnan Nojdi. So it's been a while, I think, appearing on the podcast.
You have disappeared for a long time.
Not really disappeared. I mean, been working backstage all this time, yeah. But I'm happy to be here today.
Good to be back.
And we have our very special guest today, coming all the way from the US and also Seremban today, Mr. Ikhwan himself.
Terima kasih. Thanks for having me. And I think you hyped me way too much. I think I'm not as interesting as you explained.
Oh, please. with thousands of followers in your socials, we have been dying to actually have you on as well, actually. So please, everyone, give a round of applause, please. Okay, so Ikhwan, let's just dive in straight to it. But for the viewers to get to know you a bit, if you don't mind, can you please introduce yourself a bit and kindly stress a bit on your education background a bit, just for the viewers to get to know who you are per se. Is that okay? Please.
Yep, sure. I started to really like nuclear when I was a kid. I was privileged enough to spend my time watching a lot of Discovery Channel, National Geographic. And dulu masa kecil-kecil, they always show us the power of nuclear and everything. Kan. But at the same time, Malaysian was really skeptical about nuclear. So it sparked a question on why. Kenapa kalau if let's say the nuclear that was shown on TV was really special, but then kenapa Malaysian macam tak suka nuclear? And a lot of people globally don't really like nuclear masa tu. And from there, I started to dig deeper on nuclear. And then I furthered my study at Penn State University, doing my degree in mechanical engineering and nuclear engineering, double degree. Then I work as a radiation safety officer in Malaysia for roughly 4 years, and then furthered my studies for my master's at University of Michigan in nuclear engineering. Yep.
Okay, all right. So just to add to the conversation as well, Afnan, you have had experience in the States as well. And I'm pretty sure the viewers are exposed very little about that. So can you please, along with Ikhwan, please give us a small introduction about your education background as well?
My education background?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with my high school.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's where it sparked actually. So all the way back to MRSM Taiping, Antara. I mean, we had a lot of, like the sirih, ganggang, right? That kind of event. And I remember there was this one engineer. I mean, he was not a nuclear engineer, but he was talking about nuclear, and he was talking about how the energy punya industry itself, which kind of like sparked the interest and passion because how like nuclear itself is special, like how the small amount of uranium can power a lot of things, like the big amount of the megawatts, and then I applied for, but that was not the time yang I got interested in nuclear lah.
I see. Okay.
To be honest, I applied for nuclear engineering in Oregon State because it sounded cool, literally. Because there's no nuclear engineer. And I was really naive as that was like 17 years old, 18 years old.
Understood.
Not knowing how, the local punya scene on the nuclear industry itself. But then, as going to the program, learning about all this knowledge on nuclear, on physics, and it kind of like just grow in you, and you just the passion itself grow from there lah. Yeah. And that's when I did my nuclear engineering degree in Oregon State University, and then we also had a Triga research reactor in Oregon State, where I had a first-hand punya experience, kind of like working with the research reactors.
But Oregon is a better place to be than comparing to, let's say, Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So playing
Oregon
this
side,
game
is it
now,
by
huh?
the
Okay,
coastal side?
right.
Yeah, I mean,
Ah.
the coastal side.
By
Yes.
the coastal side, you also have mountains,
Yes, I mean, in terms of that.
and East Coast is definitely not that
I mean,
interesting.
Pacific, there was no. It was quite far from the coast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys are near to all the cool places, though. New York, Philly.
Somewhat, but if you love nature, then West Coast.
Yes, yes. Really enjoyed all the
yeah,
hikings.
yeah.
there.
But then, what about Dr. Abdullah?
Oh yeah.
Mine is a bit more grounded, if I may say. I actually studied SPM, just as most of you guys, in Johor Bahru, JDT. Woo! And after my studies into nuclear science in the National University of Malaysia, where I took my PhD right after. And shortly after, I was hired as a nuclear engineer consultant in the workplace that I currently am still, and which brought me here basically. So actually this leads to the second big question, and I'm pretty sure you guys are at this point tired of this question. Why per se nuclear in the first place for both of you? Because as initially you have mentioned it sounded cool, but then it evolved into this aspiration of being interested in the mechanics of it, into the energy, the physics of it.
Yep.
And you per se, you liked the lack of, if I may say, the lack of interest or the lack of people pursuing it in Malaysia per se. So when you guys jumped into nuclear studies per se, what was your driving force? Capitalizing on the curiosity, if I may say, for both of you, because you say it sounded cool, and of course you learned it throughout the journey, and you actually know that it is cool.
I mean, yeah, it is cool, but
It definitely
at the
is.
same time, it's like, I have always been fascinated by engineering.
Definitely.
Same as Ikhwan, growing up, I watched Discovery Channel more than Cartoon Network.
Exactly.
All those mega structures when it
Oh.
shows where you see how these big, infrastructures being built by a lot of people, a lot of engineers. Kan.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, really interesting. Yeah.
So I want to tap into this even deeper, if I may. So basically, this curiosity, when you guys took in, when you guys actually pursue the studies into nuclear studies, right? What was the driving force? Like, what do you guys expect to come out of it? Basically, like what future do you see in it? If I can go down that route, because one of the issues with the younger generation, because I even in my research, people usually ask me, okay, what do you do after moving forward? So us being relatively the same age, right? I won't expose what is our age to the audience. That's just that's PNC. But because we are relatively the same age, so again, what do you expect out of the nuclear studies that you guys jumped into initially? So maybe we start with
Start
one first.
Oh, okay.
Please.
What did I expect? Honestly, I expected nothing more than becoming a nuclear engineer working a nuclear power plant.
Awesome.
So we have to remember I graduated in, let's say, 2019. During my bit of study, 2015 to 2019, 2018, the MNPC was dissolved.
Yeah.
So I was really frustrated because I knew I had some, let's say, I want to be inside MNPC. I want to be like one of the key player or contributor towards the Malaysia
you all
first.
felt that.
Yeah.
Felt that.
Yeah, because we were in the same year, right?
Yes.
2019.
In 2019.
Yeah, and then coming back to Malaysia at that time, somewhat frustrated. But then I realized, actually, nuclear industry is pretty large. So I went to the instrumentation side, handling all the radioactive sources and everything. It's okay. I didn't get to work on nuclear power at that time. And then I still had my expectation of working as a nuclear engineer in power industry. And then I furthered my study for masters in nuclear power. So, and then finally I am able to work as a nuclear engineer in power industry. So I'm finally able to meet my expectation, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Afnan, what about you?
My expectation,
Jumping into nuclear.
similar to Ikhwan actually. I always wanted to be an engineer, always wanted to work in a nuclear power plant. always wanted to do, really a lot of analyzing work, innovation, being creative, all those requirements of an engineer lah. But I kind of like pivoted a bit when I joined IEA as an intern. So there, I think in my experience, it kind of like pivoted into like more of the social science of it instead of the engineering part of it. Which, at first it was kind of like a shock to me because, I've never thought of myself being that kind of person, that kind of just, have to go around, have to speak to a lot of people, have to be diplomatic. But I think it's a good experience. It's a good pivot. And, from there, you see a lot of this cultural exchange, a lot of this change of knowledge, which I believe if, they're coming from different kind of cultures, it kind of give you a different look, take on the knowledge itself, the thing itself, which is also, I think, one of the pros of me joining the IEA lah.
Awesome.
But then coming back here to Malaysia, still working in the same industry and nuclear, which I think I kind of like still meet my expectation to still be in the nuclear industry. How about you? I mean, you've been. I think you're one of the really passionate guys who wanted to be in the nuclear industry.
I mean, the passion, the interest is there, definitely. To say I'm one of the most passionate, that's a bit overhyping, but I really like and I really find interest in the whole physics of it and the whole field of it. Believe it or not, the main thing that pulled me in was nuclear fusion, actually, not fission per se. Because, I mean, how it was marketed, if I may say, Professor Michio Kaku, who I saw on Discovery Channel as well.
He's the same guy who made me got interested in nuclear.
Awesome. So there we go. So he was the guy who I saw on the screen who was mentioning. He was just simplifying how nuclear fusion was the mechanism behind nuclear fusion, and it just blew my mind. Just taking two very light atoms, smashing it together, and the byproduct is water. At the point in time, that was what he said, and it just blew my mind. All this time I thought solar was the way to go. Like, solar is going to be the end goal. Not to discredit solar in any shape or form, but basically at the point in time, it is still a growing industry and a growing technology, in which nuclear and especially fusion as well still is. But at the end of the day, when we want to talk about long-term security, energy security, and long-term sustainability and affordability to that, actually, looking at the end game of it, fusion might be the way to go. Hence, setting that goal, that far goal in mind, you know what, why not just jump into this field? And here we go. Here I am, basically.
That's what I was like. In the US at the moment, I mean, of course, in Malaysia, the fusion growth is quite really slow. I mean, in the US, I mean, we know a lot of startups are looking into fusion. What do you think, like at the moment, the rate of the growth in that interest of fusion?
Yeah, we must know. Firstly, in the US, they encourage startups and encourage innovations. I'm not saying that Malaysians or Malaysia doesn't, but there is an environment where people can just go there and you can say that living the American dream.
Yeah.
There we go.
In terms of this fusion startup, because of the amount of money, amount of funding that they have, they are doing, I would say, pretty great right now, as of now. That's it. Because if you have money, you can do anything, right? So even if you have a somewhat, let's say, pardon my language, idea, but if you have money, you can build the idea from scratch and then improvise it, improve it, and make it better. So same thing with fusion. The idea is really great, and if you have money, just like if you're in the US. You have a lot of funding from DOE, from DOD, from, let's say, from private investors. from one of the richest guys in the US, all the billionaires, then you settle. You can build from ground up, basically. So I think, the fusion companies in the US are really doing really great right now.
I feel like at the moment it's only the US are kind of far ahead in the terms of the fusion race. But at the same time, we have also China who are also, doing that research on fusion. But I'm really curious to see when that will happen, how it will affect the geological, the global punya industry, nuclear industry, in terms of energy. Kan? It's really interesting because, if you have fusion, you kind of like, you don't need anything else.
It's the end goal. It's the end
We
goal.
also have a lot to learn from China juga. Sebab China, diorang punya regulations, let's say, they relax the regulation a bit so that they can innovate. But there's pros and cons. Macam if you relax, you can innovate more. But then if you relax it too much, then safety wise, masalah. But then it's a balance, intricate balance between regulations and innovation. So, but then in the US, regulations is still very strict, but they have all the monies.
Of course, it's at the expense of progression as well sometimes to a certain extent, right? Because it's, as you say, it's always a juggling act between regulating, but at the same time exploring new frontiers, right? Which actually brings me to my second question. And actually, this is just the second question. Mukadimah dia panjang sikit, So the second question is basically to build off what Afnan asked you just now, which is the openness, the startup, the idea of a startup, basically, right? So startups are usually ideas or innovations that begin small, and most of the time it comes from the classroom as well. Like random students, just with a random spark of brilliance that they want to pursue, right? Which translates to a startup. So basically, I want to ask about the classroom culture per se. So in the US, basically, what was when you went there, or both of you guys, when you guys went there, what was the first impression that you got that took you back, if I may say, because both of you guys actually had footings in Malaysian education first, then you branched into the US. So what was the first thing that really hit you pretty hard when you studied abroad in the US, per se?
You want to go first?
Okay, sure. I think the most obvious is the culture in terms of the academic culture in the US. I mean, in Oregon at least. My classmates, they are all really, I would not say all, but most of them are really kind of like, they are there because they want to be there. It's not like they are there because they have to be there. You feel like it. Maybe it could be different, but in my opinion, I feel like they all want to be there. Like they all really love this topic, and they all really want to do something about this topic. I don't know, it's kind of like give you also the lecturers, they give you the freedom to kind of like innovate. And we also have this I think it's the office hours. I think that's the same here in Malaysia also, like the office hours, same thing, where basically a time for students to meet up with the professors and have a discussion on the topic or on any other topics. And one thing that I find really interesting is how, it's the same in Malaysia too, I think, how passionate the teachers are. Like, at least in my professors, they are the kind of people who, you see those videos, the professor are like, doing all these crazy experiments and all that. And we had that in Oregon, which made education fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's my take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ikhwan, what about
For me, what I learned is from the American culture, the one thing that I learned the most is learn to speak up.
Okay.
Even though you do not know a lot of things,
Okay.
but learn to speak up. From there, you start to build the idea of, let's say you don't know this from A to Z, you don't know the part of C. But if you start to speak up your mind, your idea, that's when you started to, okay, somebody has this opinion about something. And then I take that opinion and then I started to gain some understanding on the C part.
Yes.
So that's what I learned from the American culture. Although sometimes they tend to abuse it. So they tend to say a lot of things. But yeah, that is one thing that I really learned. And I took it literally. I created my TikTok account and I started to speak up. And that's when I started to learn also a lot of things about why Malaysia in the first place didn't really like nuclear. So it kept me grounded. And from there, I started to advocate nuclear in a way that catered towards Malaysia. So maybe Malaysians, they're scared of the nuclear waste. Why are they scared of the nuclear waste? Okay, and so and so and so. So try to answer in such a way. And then from what I noticed, we lack in terms of communicating the complex idea and turn it into uncomplex. Because let's say if you take, for example, if I say this mug is hot, you do not know for sure if it's hot until you touch it.
Yep.
The thing that makes you scared is because you don't understand it that it's hot, right?
Yes.
And you're afraid of touching it because you think it's hot, but then you never know for sure if it's hot until you touch it, right? So moral of the story is you have to learn, but in order to learn, there's no one taking action in educating the public in trying to uncomplicate the complicated things. So that's what I learned.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that really translates to the effort that you're really putting into really spreading the message about nuclear with your TikToks and YouTube videos and YouTube shorts and so on and so forth, right? Which has garnered a lot of views actually, because we are basically doing this similar stuff on a different front, and there are things that we're learning from you directly as well.
Yes, of course.
Definitely.
So we have you here today.
Exactly. It's an honor as well. So actually, a leading question that branches from that, actually, I would like to ask is with regards to the openness of, from both of your point of views, the openness of the public. When I say public, I'm referring to the US citizens as well as the Malaysian citizens, right? Because you mentioned just now, we are lacking in the front of the elaboration of complex ideas into simplified layman terms. So with regards to the openness of how US does it, how does it differ from things in Malaysia per se? Like maybe if I can really put it into words, right? How could it then be emulated from your point of view? Because I definitely have to agree, and this is of course speaking from my personal experience as well, because I may have a PhD, but sometimes when people ask me simple questions, I do find difficulty in explaining things in a more public friendly format, because we know the technical side, but to really boil it down for the public who maybe are not necessarily more in tune or inclined to the technical stuff, it's going to be slightly difficult. So what are your comments on that per se? On the
I have one comment. Time is your best friend. So if let's say you have one question from the public, you know the answers really well, you know all the technicals, but let's say this one public or all the publics, they don't have a background in technical. With the time that you have, spend some time trying to uncomplicate that complex thing. So some of us will tend to rush to an answer, try to answer it, but then we never think about, what would the other person understand? Would they understand the message that I'm trying to convey? Because the issue that we have right now is we tend to rush things. But then because we have, not to say that we have all the times in the world, but then because in social media per se, it's not necessary for you to post it within 24/7, within 24 hours limit, right? So use the time to try convey the idea, the message in layman terms as possible. Or have someone from the non-technical background do some checking if, let's say, they understand the point, and that's it. Yeah, that's what I did. And interestingly enough, because my wife has been doing a lot of the checking.
Yes.
Because she's not a technical background.
Okay. And
So if let's say I say one thing, oh no, tak faham. Oh, I'll reject. Okay,
Right.
all right. It's a whole process of, let's say, okay, they don't understand it, or she doesn't understand it, so they will likely not understand it. So it's some process of filling out which one is the best.
So step 1, get a wife.
Step 1, get a wife who are able to criticize you from A to Z.
Oh man.
all right.
Yeah, I
all right.
think
Awesome.
There is one really big issue actually. Trying
Getting a
to
wife?
no.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Took me a while.
Took you a while.
Took me a while.
Oh man. Yeah, I think trying to make it layman, like, because we understand it, and trying to make other people, because it takes us 4 years to understand it. Took us 4 years to understand it. So who gives us the right to think that they can understand it in just a few seconds?
Betul.
Definitely.
So I think that's why I like Ikhwan's punya videos where he shared it's in layman's terms, people can easily understand it. And then to quote like our recent videos with Dr. Azrudi Mustafa, who's also really good speaker on this topic,
Wonderful.
where he explained it in really layman's terms and really local accent.
Ayak.
Ayam mana? Yeah, that's how I think that's one step, and that we, the person who have the technical knowledge to share, is trying to, as mentioned by Ikhwan, take the time to kind of like simplify it, not to a point where you lose the idea of it, but somehow manage to keep the technical background or technical understanding at the same time, making it easy to understand. It's not a simple task actually, but if you try.
One thing I noticed, this also teaches me a lot of things in terms of communicating idea. If let's say, because I have a niece, 5 years old niece, who always asks why. So if I cannot answer it properly in a way that she can understand, she would always keep asking why, because she doesn't get the root answer. So the whole thing teaches me in a way that, okay, not everybody has the same understanding of the world with you.
Betul?
So in order for you to make people understand you better, you have to communicate in a way that they can understand.
Betul.
Right?
Definitely.
So this whole thing teaches me that thing specifically.
It's so interesting that you brought up the story about your niece, because me and my wife, she's an engineer, she's a quality engineer. And when she goes off about her work and with all the technical acronyms and so on and so forth, I get lost. Yeah. So there's a game that I like to play with her actually, and it's a lot like what you said just now. I will tell her, okay, explain it to me as if I'm 10. I will just say that, and she will spend. It's either she can do it or me. Most of the time, it's me. I'm a slow processor, I guess. Intel Pentium. So I'll just have to tell her like, okay, explain it to me as if I'm 10. So she will spend some time, and exactly what you said. She'll boil it down to a bite-sized chunks that can really pick it up bit by bit, because it goes back to the idea of when you're explaining complex things, you are desensitized to it, you are normalized to it. You know it inside out, but to the receiving end, they are not particularly familiar with it. So the concept of explaining to someone as if they're a child actually really helps, personally for me, which is very interesting that you bring up the topic of your niece as well. All right. So we've covered inside the classroom, the topic about inside the classroom. Let's look at the topic of outside the classroom. So in terms of your peers when you guys were studying, right? So how were they towards the topic of nuclear outside of the classroom? Because of course, where we are in a specific setting, our views tend to be aligned with everyone else. But when we are at home or we are just hanging out with friends, our views usually changes to our own perspective, individual views. So how is it like with regards to your friends or your peers back in the US, studying? The both of you.
Back in the US.
Back in the US, yeah.
Oh, so basically their view on the topic itself.
Outside of the classroom.
Outside of the classroom. I mean, in Oregon, at least where I was, it's since we are already living near the research reactor, I don't think anyone had any issues with it. There was, I think I was looking back at the history and I did not find anything that's kind of like, a demonstration on, let's not do this, let's not build this. But no, I think they kind of like, in Corvallis, the city itself, they kind of like, just accept it. I think they are well educated on it, since it's also a university city, a college city. And fun fact, research writer, the Triga research writer in Corvallis in Oregon is the birthplace of the Malaysia first few nuclear engineers and nuclear research reactor operators. Yeah.
The pioneers, basically.
The pioneers, yeah.
I see.
That's where they had their early education on research reactor.
Awesome.
So you're continuing the legacy.
Kind of. I think so. Maybe not.
Well, technically, Malaysia is still in the proceeds of actually establishing our own nuclear power program. So you are still considered the pioneer as well.
Yeah.
And in both of you guys,
people say third time is the charm. So.
Third time.
There we go. Interesting. He read our files. We have something in the works with regards to that as well. Stay tuned, everyone. But yeah. People actually, I definitely agree. Third time's the charm, and this is actually Malaysia's third attempt. So let's see how it turns out. Ikhwan, what about you? What's your views on your peers outside of the classroom? How would they behave?
Yep. So during that time, it was after Fukushima.
Oh, okay.
So 2015,
Awesome.
right?
All right.
The sentiment was, I would say, not majorly positive, but also not that negative as well. It's a mixture of both.
Okay.
So obviously people who are in the nuclear industry would totally be positive, but people outside of it, completely against it. That's when I started to notice a lot of engineers within the nuclear industry started to speak up because a lot of publics do not know exactly what's going on within nuclear industry. Is it really that? Yeah, is it really not that safe? What's going on inside it? We do not understand a single thing. There were no single communicator like Dr. Michio Kaku, who had the courage of explaining, actually there were a lot of misconceptions about nuclear power. And then that's when we started to see post-COVID, the narrative change, right? And then after Fukushima, Japan started to actually, and then a lot of citizens in Japan initially say that, we don't want nuclear. Now a lot of them started to realize, okay, we need nuclear in our energy mix. And then a lot of Germany now, diorang U-turn because they started to realize, they needed nuclear when they in first hand diorang decommissioned the nuclear power plant. So yeah, after post-COVID, that's when I started to realize the narrative changes a bit. Yeah.
See, that's why Ikhwan is the best person to ask regarding this. How the US or outside of the university punya settings, how the locals are, So I when I was there, I feel like everyone was okay with nuclear, even though we know that it was like the one in Vegas, the waste punya. The waste disposal in the areas that had a lot of public issues. There's only one or few things I remember but I am quite surprised to hear that. Not quite surprised but I know, of course, there is some people who don't like nuclear in the US. Yeah, and itulah macam while working in the US, you are in a nuclear engineering company, right? How about the locals in, let's say, in your area, the thoughts and the views on nuclear?
Well, I realized one of the way in understanding how the locals perceive nuclear is go to Google review. Let's say you type in Holtec National, where I work, You go to Google review and see the comments. And if you see the comments, they will say exactly what they think about nuclear. They will say, oh, Holtec is dumping nuclear waste in the Delaware River. Although we don't have any nuclear fuel, we don't have any spent nuclear fuel there in our facility. We only designed the dry cast, we only designed the small modular reactor. So it's funny because, I mean, it happens, right? That's when you started to think, oh, why would be this such a case? That's when you started asking questions and you realize that is the weakness within the nuclear industry. We did not communicate well enough towards the public. So I think especially people in the nuclear industry should take this as initiative for us to communicate the ideas better.
Okay, disclaimer alert to both hosts actually. I'm going off script a bit, so if you guys don't mind, then please entertain me with this one question. What you mentioned just now, it goes back to the idea of fear mongering, and we've heard this word being thrown around quite a lot, especially in the nuclear field, because again, people are not really inclined to what is actually happening in the industry as well, which leads them to make either assumptions or take rumors and stereotypes exactly as they are. So in your personal experience of being a content creator in terms of the nuclear front, how do you tackle this idea per se? I will extend this question to Afnan as well, because he is currently the one managing most of our socials as well. So most of the responses will be channeled through him, and I would like to know the framework that he's employing as well. So before we get to Afnan, Ikhwan, what about you? How do you tackle this fear-mongering culture that surrounds not just nuclear, but most other industries in the people?
Yep. What I notice is just to talk about it. Just if
Brute
let's
force it.
yeah, just no, not brute force it. just talk about it. Let's say now, like we're doing right now, we're talking about nuclear. There would be one day where people who do not know anything about nuclear and started hearing, oh, okay, what is nuclear? Okay, and started doing the deeper digging on what is nuclear exactly. At first, probably they would be scared. But then when a lot of people talking about nuclear, that's when they started to jump into the hype. Just let's say macam pisang cheese.
Okay.
Hey, right? So pisang cheese, for example, it was hype back then. It's about because a lot of people talk about it.
Yeah.
But then it kind of died it down.
Yes.
Because not many people talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's a simple analogy. If let's say a lot of people talk about this thing and trying to educate and correct all the misconceptions, then I think all the fear mongering will start to go down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think that's also a lesson learned for, let's say, Malaysian government or other private sectors or Malaysians as well to, communicate and talk more about this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What was the best comments or I don't know, anything interesting from your comment sections?
Interesting. One of the most interesting thing is we do not have nuclear power is because the US controls us. I mean, in a way, it is true because we have to sign 1, 2, 3 agreement, right? Because all of the nuclear reactor technologies is technically under the legality of the US. But then that's not the case. It's not, because people tend to relate nuclear power with nuclear weapon.
Correct.
So in a way, they're trying to relate, we don't have nuclear power because the nuclear weapon guys, with all the country would have nuclear weapons, trying to control us so that we don't have this technology. But then that's not the case. In IAEA specifically mentioned that they emphasize the exchange of technology for the safety purpose, peaceful purposes of nuclear technology other than nuclear weapons. So it's kind of ironic. Then that's where we have to step in and educate the public.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Afnan, what about
Yeah. What about you? What do you guys see in comments that kind of funny or interesting?
One is, I think it's the case in Bukit Merah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
there was a heavy comments on that, and borderline really strong fear mongering. But I don't want to deny that the mishandling of the ways back then kind of like led to a bad impression towards the nuclear technology itself. That's where I see we have to not just educate the public itself. It's also the agents, the bodies, the media outlets have to be educated on this front. But yeah, and this is one of my colleague who back in the IEA, he's a 70 years old dude. He's like, growing up, I always avoid these journalists, these news people. They're like, they're stupid people. Why do I have to talk to them? They don't know. They don't understand this. And he told me that's not the way we have to do it. You have to take your time, as mentioned as Ikhwan. Take your time, really talk to them, like make them understand, because they are the source of the news, at least back then. But now we have social media, and we have everyone have a say. So we have the responsibilities to make sure the message that we're trying to give out is accurate, is not misleading, and also not fear mongering.
Okay.
Yeah, completely agree.
Kan?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I am familiar with the post that you are mentioning with regards to Bukit Merah as well, and I mean, things happen.
Yep.
Things definitely happen, and it's the incidents that sometimes that we least expected, like as you mentioned, Fukushima. And they have taken consideration with regards to natural disasters, but things still happen.
Yep.
So, but at the end of the day, it is what you do with those incidents that really matters the most.
Yes.
How you build moving forward. So awesome.
That's how you build the steps. That's where you learn, how to move forward. Take example, the Radium Girls case.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know about that? The Radium Girls.
Don't think I do.
I think it's a watch punya kilang.
That incident. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
all right.
That's where education is important.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. And also, while we're at it, it's also important to emphasize that the safety attitude, safety culture that should ingrain with nuclear. So that's true. We educate the public that, okay, there's a lot of misconceptions surrounding nuclear. And let's say Fukushima happened because of natural disaster and everything. But then we do not disregard safety culture. We have to emphasize, especially for the public, to cultivate this culture inside every one of us.
Yes.
So not just the engineers, but also the public. So that is also the thing that I think we should strive for in order to change the way Malaysians see or the way Malaysians behave, especially, so that we can, we always have this notion that, if let's say gerai nasi lemak pun kita tak boleh jaga, tak boleh maintain, what about nuclear power, right?
Yes.
So it's a chicken and egg problem. So if we do not start the effort and do not start the action of building nuclear power now, sampai bila-bila we don't have that kind of attitude towards safety culture.
Safety culture, yes.
I mean, we have seen great success with Petronas.
Yes.
True.
I mean, running since 1970s.
True.
Safety-wise is really great. One of the top leading company, right? So
definitely.
Yeah. What about nuclear? We can do it. So we cannot.
We've done it before. We can do it again, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
And
awesome.
it's like, I just want to add, it also goes to the players who want to be involved in the nuclear industry, as it is growing right now in Malaysia, and I think a lot of players would like to be involved because there's money in it, of course. So have to emphasize that safety culture is really important. Nuclear safety culture is really important, and at the same time, there's such thing as the nuclear grade. Nuclear grade, it's something that they have to really ingrain in their values and how they approach this industry, is having the safety and the nuclear grade punya ni lah. Which I think if they want to be a player, if they want to be involved, but keeping the old styles, I don't think that's safe even for us.
Is this attacking any entity?
No. It's a general.
It's a general statement. I mean, to be honest, to achieve that as that so-called nuclear grade, there are certifications and requirements and licensing that needs to be taken up. So it's not only directed to, if that is, I don't think we are targeting anyone.
No.
Definitely. These people will need to undertake these certifications and licensings as well. So it's definitely more rigorous than normal engineering licensing and accreditation or certification, so on and so forth. Which actually brings me to the next question. Nice stitch up there. Nice setup.
Thank you.
So, which is actually the industries actually. So we've covered the classroom setting. So how does it translate into the industry setting? So how, basically the question here is, with regards to, we've seen how the classroom is reacting, how they're behaving outside the classroom, but how are these industries linked to the academics? Because as you can see in Malaysia, there's a big disconnect between the industries and the academicians, let alone in the nuclear industry. So in the US per se, how do the industries really synergize with the academicians? Are they more open or prone to like collaborations, internships, research projects? How is the scenario there?
Yeah, in the US, I think Afnan will probably agree with this. They encourage companies to come to universities and high schools in order for them to, let's say, do a day long of activity showcasing what they do at work. Let's say, for example, in the US, they will have one specific company to come and give talk about their technologies, what they do at work and everything, so that the students will be exposed to what would be their life after graduating. So, yeah, in the US, they do that a lot. I think maybe they have an incentive, but I'm not sure what exactly. But it's part of their maybe CSR program. So yeah, I think in Malaysia, we should also learn from that and try to go in schools and for companies, go in schools and also universities and encourage them and talk about what would be your life after graduating.
I agree.
Yeah.
We had a lot of, I think it's just a career punya fair in the university.
Yeah.
Career fairs in the university.
In the university.
One of the career fair one also is like capstone project.
Capstone project.
Capstone project is sponsored by company, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and the
A bit of
company.
context, please.
A bit of context. Okay.
Who are not
So
familiar
yeah,
with
go ahead.
So capstone is like what the final year project in a way.
I see. Okay.
So we had like for me, we had sponsors from outside of the university, paying for our studies, and we had big companies also invested in our capstone. There were colleagues or students that got some funding from Microsoft, since it's the West Coast, that's Microsoft, and you have Nike, so it's all the good stuff over there. Yeah, and during the capstone presentation itself, you see a lot of companies who came and look at your projects, provide their input, provide their opinion. There was I don't remember, I think it was New Skill or something. So because my project was on passive safety system,
I see.
and there were,
And Dr. Reyes was from Oregon.
Oregon, yes.
Oh, he was a professor.
He was a professor there, yeah. So he was there, of course, and a lot of New Skill people was there also, looking into at least in the nuclear parts lah.
Yeah. Now, talking more about capstone, let's say, for example, I did capstone with Boeing. So Boeing sponsored a project where we had to do the UGV, unmanned ground vehicle for search and rescue team. Every single week, Boeing team had a conference call with the student, 4 of us, and they would give us 2 mentors in order for them to guide what to do, what you need and everything. So it gave you an exposure on how the life would be like after graduating. So I think, I'm not sure, maybe because I don't have any experience within Malaysia education. Can you say more about it? Do you have such system?
Okay, sure. So from my point of view, there is a clear disconnect between the industry and the academic side, where most researchers, and I'm talking about final year projects in research universities such as the National University of Malaysia, the studies are more tailored towards minor innovations with regards to studies that has already been established. But from what I can see, most of it, it's not really, there's not much practical, I won't say not much practical application, but it's not necessarily solving real world problems, if I may say.
I understand.
So basically they are innovating with regards to, okay, how this one material may affect this reaction. But then again, the material that they are exploring does not necessarily translate into something that is actually doable in the industry. Yes, maybe it fits a research grant, a small part of the research grant, but as you mentioned, and both of you guys are living proof of what even undergraduates can do with their research, even at that level, for the industries themselves. So I will have to say that there is a clear disconnect in that regard for the Malaysian side. So, but however, there are some initiatives such as from the engineering side, where there is a week, if I'm not mistaken, where there will be, it's like a fair, I won't say a fair, like a display of research where all the students will have to print out posters, and the industry players will actually come and have a look. But that's as much or as close as we get to it, as far as I know. I do definitely believe that the industry should be more involved, and the universities should be more welcoming towards inviting them to be involved in the to get the students involved in the industry per se. Which brings to the next aspect. Now we're going back to nuclear again per se. Right. So
and in nuclear.
this is a very very big topic, and the most, if I may say, the most problematic, if I may say, which is the $1 million question of public perception, right? Public perception in the US. So the US is basically, of course, in tandem with most other power generation modes. It is also powered by nuclear power as well, right? There's quite a few nuclear power reactors in the US.
I think few is the understatement.
Definitely. So, but how does this, what is currently the general public's perception towards nuclear at this point in time, at this conjuncture? Because as you mentioned, Fukushima happened, which for Germany was a complete turnaround. They literally just away from nuclear power, and only now they're turning tail again, right? So to refire all their nuclear power plants. What's the US position currently with regards to this aspect?
They did a study previously, I think a few years ago, investigating the public perceptions of nuclear power in the US.
Okay.
Most of them, in the age of us, let's say from 20 to 50 years old, or let's say 45, most of them positive. However, and there's a
there we go. That's what.
However, most of the higher, let's say, how do we say it? Old people, not too old, but then let's say 50 and above, they tend to have a negative perception towards nuclear. And this begs a question to why? Because it was ingrained in their memory because of the Fukushima accident, 3 Mile Island, and the Chernobyl by the media that was portrayed to them, because you have a lot of movies portraying all the disasters that would happen if you have nuclear power in your backyard. So that's one of the things that shows you exactly what you need to do in order for you to improve as in moving forward. So you see that, okay, the media plays a huge role in people's mind, people's perception towards nuclear, and what do we do with it? That's when a lot of people step in and try to use media in order to convey the message about nuclear. So currently, what I could say in the US, it remains positive, but then some would still be negative towards nuclear. Yeah, I would say maybe 65% or 70% of them agree. But of course, you can Google and they have this study. So yeah. And what about the trend in Malaysia? I think they did publish some study in 2018, but what about it recently?
I mean, public perception has always been a continuous study in Malaysia, honestly. Even since before MMPC, during MMPC, after, and now with the arrival, if I may say, of the new Nepio. Yeah, so the perception has definitely shifted over the years, from my point of view, that is. Even a colleague of mine, a fellow student of mine during my undergraduate, she actually did a survey with regards to the younger generation. And when I say the younger generation, I'm referring to the primary to secondary school kids. There is definitely a huge difference as compared to the data collected like a decade ago. So it clearly shows that the newer generation is more open to the idea. And it's interesting because you brought in the idea of the media as well and people stepping in. And I do believe that is currently one of the most, if not the most, vital components in this realignment of public perception. Because, the kids nowadays are more exposed, or the information is really more readily available for them. So which definitely exposes them to not only the cons but also the overall pros of nuclear power per se. So I will definitely have to say it's an increasing graph, if I may say, on the general public, especially with the younger generation. But the trend of the older generation is, I would have to say, is still similar with the US. They are more inclined to see the past incidents. And it's the same trend for that. But on the flip side, the younger generation is embracing it slowly.
Yep. So what can we do in order to educate the older generation?
What can we do?
Because let's say, this is going back to psychological level, right? If let's say you hold to one belief for such a very long time, it's hard to unlearn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you educate the older generations to unlearn it and learn new things?
I don't see this question.
But yeah, it's a question that's worth
definitely.
Having a change in perception.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. So a very interesting one. You want to?
That's a really hard question.
You wanna throw this one first? Okay. All right. So from my point of view, it's definitely true. It's definitely true. I cannot agree more with regards to believe in something long enough, it becomes true.
Yeah.
That's a very, very scary sentiment, honestly.
Yeah.
So just now, with regards to the question of what should we do as well, I mentioned the word brute force and both of you guys were laughing, right? But when I mentioned brute force, right, it's actually with reference to brute forcing the platform to start the conversation. Because nowadays what I see is people are too hesitant of being not just wrong, but being cast aside due to different views. So, and I think that primarily revolves around the idea of the fear-mongering side as well, because if you are seen to side or be more inclined to the view that people are more afraid of, you are more inclined to be pushed aside.
Yes.
Which I believe is not necessarily the right idea when we are exploring new ideas. So when I say brute forcing, you have to establish a platform to talk about it. And of course, when you establish a platform to talk about it, you need to talk about it and not strong arm it. That's a clear difference. Where, like, when you do your own platforms, right? When you do your own content, you don't shove it down people's throats. Right? What I'm saying is the right. It's take it like it's gospel, you know. And that's definitely not the case. With as you can see right now, like TE, what we are doing is we want to set a platform to not just educate. That's not necessarily the main primary objective. Is to inspire curiosity and set the stage for people to talk about it. What we say primarily is not always the right thing, and people can always rebuttal
Betul.
in their own perspective, and we welcome it as much as possible. So to go back to your question, what should be done? It's in the aspect of laying down as much platform for people to just tackle the issue head on, regardless whether their knowledge with regards to the issue is big or small, in depth or surface. Just start talking about it, and the rest of the public or the rest of the professionals or the experts will do the rest. They will start filling in these gaps.
Yep.
And at one point, you can just see all the information will just be coherent and just tell a long drawn story of whatever it is that you want to know about it.
Yep.
That's my long-winded answer, if I may say.
No, I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same goes to what Ikhwan said just now lah.
Definitely.
Like, it takes time.
It takes time, definitely. I have
But
to agree with that.
The conversation have to start.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it has to be discussed, like it or not. If it's if the opposition is really strong, I mean, you just keep on try to accommodate. Like have a discussion. That's how you get things solved. Have a discussion. Try to brainstorm it. Try to find the light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's true. Yeah, because we move as a society. We don't move as individuals, right?
There we go.
Yes.
So the society on average have to improve, not just us.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
As the
Totally agree.
saying, goes, apes together strong.
Yeah.
So, but I definitely agree. Jokes aside, I definitely agree. A society must build together.
Yeah.
The moment there's a disconnect in one part of society, it will just start a chain reaction that collapses everything.
Chain reaction.
Chain reaction
There we go.
that will definitely disrupt everything. Awesome. So now,
I mean, sorry.
please.
Just take the idea of the internet.
Okay.
Like, people are so scared of the Y2K, of the change in number whatever lah back then. Kan? I mean, the internet itself has brought or keep on bringing a lot of benefits to mankind itself.
Definitely.
So it's something to be embraced, or at the same time, as a society, have to improve or have to have a better understanding on the topic itself. Yeah.
And now the new internet is AI, which is definitely a whole kind of worms in itself. It has its own pros, but definitely has
There'll
its
be a
own.
different.
That is definitely
video.
a different video, definitely. But still, going down that route, it's the idea of evolution and using the right equipment at the right time, basically, to build a common goal. That is the most important rule, I think, from my
Or
point of view.
have a common enemy.
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding.
we know that one country who have common enemy, right? The country that you went to study to.
Yay!
Okay.
You want to know more about that? Contact him. Okay,
They
so
don't
now
like English, and they understand it. Yeah.
cut it. All right, so okay. Jokes aside, now we have established how things are in the US at this point. Now, from the classroom culture, outside of classroom culture, and how the industry is taking it, and how the industry is embracing what the researchers are putting forward. Right, there's a clear communication and collaboration there. All right. So now that we have the image of how the US is currently handling nuclear technology, nuclear power, right? From both of your personal opinions, right, and personal point of views, how is Malaysia? Where is Malaysia currently with regards to the US in comparison? Specifically with regards to maybe the culture, the openness of it, and maybe how should it be better? Let's start with how is it culturally different per se in Malaysia from your point of view. You've been back for 4 weeks. I think you can observe a bit at this point. So just right off the bat, at the top of your head, what's the main difference from your point of view?
You want to go first?
I mean, we don't really have to follow one framework
Definitely.
of of innovation or moving forward. We don't have to follow any of these other frameworks. I mean, we can move forward as a country, as a nation, in our own ways.
We can write our own story.
Exactly. We don't have to be the next America. We don't have to be the next China.
Exactly.
We don't have to be the next Russia. We just have to be the one Malaysia. Yeah.
That's true. I completely agree.
Can like we can be a really modern, like, you know, easy example, Wakanda. Even though it's a Marvel punya, it's fiction. But, you know, the idea of them being so modern, so futuristic, so innovative and everything in their own terms. They didn't have to follow the white man or the Nigan. So that's the idea that I really like lah, in terms of moving forward as a society, as a country.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Like the cultural, of course. Then again, as we said just now, you know, apes together from man. You have to do it together lah. To, you know, buang yang keruh ambil yang jernih.
Awesome.
Easily.
I see. Okay. All right. I have a very important question that I need to follow up with that specific view, but we'll get to that later. Ikhwan,
Yeah.
what about you?
But just want to add to that. I completely agree with Afnan's statement that we try not to follow exactly as what the other countries from your framework. And so because we have this unique identity that we are Malaysia, and we must learn from it, and we must improve from it. Not, okay, we take other countries as an example, but we don't have to follow them exactly as is, right? If, let's say, the US has a very great openness, 100% openness, if you put it on a scale, but Malaysia, let's say 50%, and what can we do with it? Okay, with that 50%, maybe we can improve in something else. Maybe Malaysia is not open to the idea of having nuclear power. That's okay, but how do we make it Malaysian become more open in a way that caters towards Malaysians? Right? So, because it's on the societal level, it's hard. Unless you're changing, I mean, for example, you're changing one individual, it's hard enough.
Yep.
Yeah. You're changing a whole kampung, you're changing a whole country. That's so hard. So you cannot change the society itself.
Yep.
What you can do is maybe try to communicate in a way that the society understands, right? So yeah, I think, but then I can see a very a shift in public perceptions in Malaysia towards nuclear. So I think we're doing actually in good way. So it's just that we need to make it quicker.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Now, both of you guys have fallen into my trap. So the next question that I wanted to ask is actually great. And I definitely agree with both of you guys. We have established, we are our own country. We are our own people, right? So our stories is ours to write. So now it begs the question where we are right now and the uniqueness of Malaysia with regards to what we have and where we are right now and our expertise. Now, how should we then progress forward? Okay, so it's a broad question, definitely, and it's a head scratcher. But I'll try and narrow it down by saying, what aspect do you think Malaysia should focus on with regards to nuclear power per se? Because that's the topic of the conversation right now. As to nuclear power, right? Which aspect should Malaysia really nail down first? That will be integral in the country's progression forward. Do you think it's A, in terms of the politics side? Do you think it's B, in terms of the regulation side? Or do you think it's C, with regards to the public perception side? Which one do you think is more important than the other at this conjuncture where Malaysia is right now?
Yep.
Both of you guys, open. It can even be D or E, so please, because it's not limited to these.
It's D.
It's D, please.
Yeah, what is D?
I don't know. You tell me.
D is a combination of everything. So for me, three main aspects.
Okay.
One is financial.
All right.
Because if, let's say, you take Mereka, for example, it's 20 billion for 4 reactors. So that's exactly $5 billion. Where do we get the money? So we have to find a way in order for us to get the money. I mean, luckily now the SMR is on the way, so it's not as expensive. So financial wise, we have to think about it. Secondly, regulation wise. So regulation wise, we must be matured. So in the current moment, we don't have regulation in order for us to adopt nuclear power in Malaysia. what we can do regulations wise, we can maybe send Afnan, for example, to other countries to learn the regulations, let's say to the US, send somebody else to, let's say, China, to learn about the regulations, send to Japan, send to other countries. And then we come down and make up our own regulations surrounding nuclear power. Third, public perceptions. Public perceptions drives towards politics, because politics, it's all about popularism, right? So if the public perceptions, let's say majorly, more than 50%, more than 60%, the higher the number, the better, agree with nuclear power, then we're good. So if all these three, we're able to figure out, then I think we're set for nuclear power in Malaysia. What do you
I
think?
agree. I totally agree with his points. Yeah, all of them actually. That's really true. Public perception, I think, because the public itself is the society itself. If it's, that's the number one that you have to tackle. Even if you have everything set in stone, but the public don't want it, that kind of hard for us to move forward in terms of the nuclear punya power lah. I think that's my opinion lah.
True. And you guys are doing great thing. So you guys doing the right thing because you're educating the public, right?
Not just
so that you're driving the politics.
Also, we have the common goal basically.
Okay.
And we are all we.
I don't know what's your common goal.
Of course, the same. Public perception. So, awesome. So basically, it's semua di atas lah. It's
Semua di
actually
atas,
A B C D E,
Yeah.
including finances as well. Awesome. So of course, all of this is with regards to the eventual Malaysia's, because at this point, it's not a matter of will Malaysia accept it or not. It's a matter of honestly when, right? Because if we look at it, Malaysia is looking into cleaner energy generation. Foreign investors are coming in, which will definitely require a huge amount of power. Like the data centers and so on and so forth, right? So it's no longer a matter of will we go nuclear or not, but it's a matter of when, per se. Because at this point in time, the other generation modes are just not there yet in terms of their generation capacity, their security, their affordability, and so on and so forth. So awesome. All right. So with regards to that, Ikhwan, thank you very much for joining us in our fifth episode. Before we end off, can you just kindly look at that camera and say, please plug in if there's anything that you would like to wish the public or you want to promote your IGs, your socials, whatever it is, any message to the public, please. That camera.
You're putting me in spotlight.
You are already in the spotlight. What are you talking about? We have 3 cameras pointed towards you. So please.
My message to Malaysians, I don't want to promote my Instagram or anything. My message to Malaysians is to be curious. To if let's say you want to do something, start the action today and start to learn and just be curious. From be curious, you can, although it's hard for you to reach your goal, but then eventually you reach your goal. So just be curious. It essentially boils down to our discussion just now. The reason why I started my TikTok and my IG to advocate nuclear power is because I want Malaysians to be as curious as possible. Because what I learned is from my curiosity, I was able to be a nuclear engineer, to become a nuclear engineer and work and achieve my dream. So just be curious.
Awesome.
That's really good. Yeah, I like that.
Awesome. All right. So as you guys heard it here first. I won't say first. You've been in IG for a long time, so you heard it directly from him, the man himself. Stay curious. And from us, TE, wishing you guys a happy Friday and catch us in the next episode. Of course, do subscribe to Ikhwan Khaleb. He has a bunch of content with regards to nuclear. If you guys are interested, definitely check him out. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Assalamualaikum and have a good day.